Holla ballers! Okay, so I've been doing some funky intros recently, and as such, a lot of people asking me, how do I do them? How can I add them to my own videos? How can I do various shit like that? Okay, so the recent one I did was a bit of a Jurassic Park theme one for the BM Hunter. Obviously, a dinosaur chasing somebody is something we wanted to link together. We also did this in a previous BM Hunter intro of a dinosaur chasing Genji, who is the character Methodical. And we wanted to carry on that theme with the Hunter stuff, so we thought we'd do something along those lines. So here is a project as standard that I would do. It's quite large, but this is something that I did for the BM Hunter gameplay video. So like I say, it's got various things in there, such as embeds of other videos within our Preach Gaming thing for people to click and link, and also, obviously, the tables that appear, which give people links to other videos they might be interested in, and of course, downloading my UI. So this is what a standard project would look like for me. It looks kind of messy and complicated, and it obviously goes to like 13 layers, if not more. No, it goes to 14 layers. I think the 14th layer itself actually has nothing in it. So it goes to 14 layers of stuff, all combined up. I could condense this down if I was being particularly picky. It's probably about 8 or 9 layers, but I'm not exactly arsed. It gets the job done. So when creating something like the intro, this is what the intro actually looks like. And it's a combination of various different things going on, so I'm going to link this together. So this is what the intro, if you look up here, this is what the intro actually looks like.
What a beautiful, perfect day. Oh God, not again.
Go faster.
Okay, so that's the intro. It's a very rough, I wouldn't say it was entirely perfect. It probably took less than an hour to actually put this together. It was just a quick idea we had, and I was doing several of the videos that day while we're bashing out all the WoW guides for everybody for patch 5. And so this is the basic bare bones of it. Now, when you start a project like this, you need to consider a lot of things why you've got people's time. People's time is very important to me. I always try and stress that in a lot of my videos, is that if I'm using an actor in some respect, then I want to make sure I'm using their time effectively, not wasting their time. So in this case, I had Genji, who's obviously, he's generally very, very willing to help out. And he's probably not too bothered about me wasting his time too much, but still, for my own personal preference, I don't want him to have to be committed to me for as long as possible. Which means you have to pre-plan exactly what you want to do. You should go into your project with an idea of what you want to come out of it. If we were going to do something Jurassic Park themed, then I need to know how to set that up. So what we will do is record a hell of a lot of clips. You can see there's tons and tons of clips here. These are all various fraps footages and stuff, and you can see all the stuff we created of Genji in the forest is actually long clips, which ultimately end up being around 3 seconds worth, and this one is probably about 2-3 seconds worth, and again another 3 seconds worth, and another 4 seconds worth. But we might record for about 6 or 7 minutes to get those shots to make sure they work correctly. So the idea is, when we went into this intro, is we literally just wanted Genji sitting by the side of a road, enjoying himself. He's been chased by a dinosaur in a previous video, and he's found a nice place to relax. Then suddenly the dinosaur comes back again. So how do we do this? First of all, you want some sweeping shots of what your intro will start with. So this first shot that I got here, if I just mute this and this, is just a sweeping shot of Genji sat by his thing. Now, you'll notice that then this instantly transitions into this shot. You want multiple shots just to set a scene, get a grasp of things, but you don't want that to last too long. That's just 6 seconds worth of footage, and that's just establishing that Genji sat by the side of a road. We sweeped into the intro to give people time to let the video process and stuff, and we've got Genji sat here. So we instantly want to start doing something at least within 3 seconds. Anything longer than that that's establishing the scenario is really far too long. You don't want to do that. If you look at any movie that is coming out currently, you'll notice that pretty much every 2 to 3 seconds, unless it's a long talk scene, will have some sort of transition in what's happening. It doesn't take a person more than 3 or 4 seconds to simply establish Genji sitting by the side of a road. You don't need longer than that. So the next part is, we wanted a shot of Genji and to do some talking animation. So I'll get Genji to sit by the side of the road with his love umbrella and his cauldron, and do, say, 4 or 5 talking animations so I can pick clips out of there. One of the things I'm looking for is not too much going on in the background. It's very important for me not to see a lot of things going on in the background, because they can sort of mess up the continuity of the shot. I don't really want that either. So I'll get Genji to just do several talking animations of him sat down, and that's it. And I can trim them to as small as possible. So you can see literally within a couple of frames in, it's less than a second into the shot, he starts doing the talking animation. As soon as that's over, we'll cut to the next shot. This other shot is from the perspective of the dinosaur as well. So I wanted the dinosaur to be stalking Genji. I thought that was quite cool, that he's never given up the chase. A BM hunter never fucking gives up on his prey. And he's now looking for Genji in this forest. So I looked around the area for the idea of, one, where is Genji going to run afterwards that will give us a nice clear shot, and the idea of this thing moving through the foliage. It's also hidden, so Genji can't see it. Obviously, a dinosaur stood just by the side of the road would just be stupid in the back of your mind. You don't want that either. And so I found this little piece of foliage, and just a shot of myself walking. Just put my walk animation on, toggled my walking game of World of Warcraft, and just walked through foliage. So I walked from quite a long way away, and ultimately decided on this clip, as within 3 seconds it gets very close to Genji, so it's about to pounce on him. But I started this clip a long way away. This original shot is probably about 13 or 14 seconds long for the 3 second clip we actually want. So then we get to the next bit, and this is a shot that was very difficult to do for various reasons. Especially, it's actually quite helpful now with the hunter pet positioning. Is we wanted a shot of Genji sat there, suddenly jumping up, zooming in on him, and then the pet chasing him off the screen. To give a sort of comical feel, a slapstick comedy of this pet chasing him around. I'm sure you've all seen the clips in various shows of people running through doors and doing this silly chase scene. We didn't want to do that extended. I don't like my intros to be too long whatsoever. I think 30 seconds is probably an absolute maximum for an intro. For any video whatsoever that's just an intro. Any longer than that is really pushing it to the limits of what people are prepared to watch. It's okay if it's interesting, but you don't want people to just focus on the intro. So what we had to do here is literally position the pet off camera using the pet position bar, and then drag myself in front of Genji to get a nice close-up shot of him, and then activate Bestial Wrath, which is also a huge pain in the ass, in fact, because activating Bestial Wrath does in fact cause a rather obtuse red face to pop up. I'm not sure if it'll appear here. See if I can show you this. So there's me checking the pet is in position. I had to actually kill the wolf that was attacking my pet. Get back onto Genji. Make sure he's selected, but hide the mouse. And then activate Bestial Wrath. If it's going to happen anytime now. And we should see a rather obnoxious red face pop up, which is never fun whatsoever. There, you can see me popping Bestial Wrath there. Luckily, I managed to avoid the red face, but that is something you don't want in the final shot, is some weird spell effects that just give away the game. That it's actually somebody filming. You want it to be as if somebody is actually... This is just a camera and not a person filming it. So we had to cut it. So we activate Bestial Wrath, get rid of the spell effects, then get Genji to animate. And then me activate the pet and send it into him while it's got Bestial Wrath on, so it's all nice and big and red. And then chase him off screen. Very quick clip. Took a few goes. We had to get that right to make sure the Bestial Wrath animation didn't interrupt it, so we had a few goes at that. Then we go into the Jurassic Park scene. I would have said, just for a tidy of effects here, I would have really, really loved to have cut this probably here. I think this extra second adds a bit of a delay to this that wasn't really necessary. I'm not saying this was a perfect intro by any means, but it's about an hour's work. So then you come into this, while Ben's barking. You then come into this of the actual scene from Jurassic Park. So the original scene from Jurassic Park is this must go faster scene. If I drag myself over here and drag that in, it's just a raw clip. Now you have to be very careful with this kind of stuff. Now this clip that we got this from YouTube, actually involves some Independence Day. So first things first is you find where Independence Day starts. So Independence Day starts there, go 1 frame back just by pressing left, and then you split the clip and instantly delete that off. Now the best way to add animation like this is to go through the clip and find any reference that you don't particularly want and where the scene changes. So as I said, a lot of movies change scenes every 3 or 4 seconds. So we'll flick through this. This scene is all one continuous scene of the dinosaur coming through the forest. Then it's a scene change. So I split the clip there and then look again. This is the scene of the car driver. When it splits there as his hand comes on. And then it's back to this scene here of our lovely Jeff Goldblum sat in the back, who is going to become Genji. So then we split this clip into 4 scenes. This makes it much easier to work with. As we know, that scene is the dinosaur coming out of the forest. This scene is Genji in the back of the truck. This scene is useless. We don't need to do anything with that. And this scene is going to be Genji sat in the back of the lorry. So again, it's very easy if you just split the clip up like that you can work with it and manage it in just microprocesses. So in this one, we simply wanted the name of Charlie Murphy, who's the name of my hunter's pet, as you can see there is Charlie Murphy, to be above the dinosaur. So we just create a very simple text file in Vegas that just says Charlie Murphy. Make it a reasonable size font, nothing special than that. And then we do what is considerably some of the most annoying work that you can do. This is frame by frame work. Now, I was very fortunate in this clip is the dinosaur doesn't actually move too much. His head doesn't move. So these are all keyframes. These little marks on here. If you've never used Sony Vegas, these are called keyframes. These little white diamonds down the bottom. So what I would do is I would find my first keyframe, and then I just marry it up so I can see what's going on in the shot. And then I just drag the icon around to see where is the head. So the head is there. And then I would skip through a few frames and just make sure that this text is always above the dinosaur's head. Coming through again. And you can see only at this point did the head start to push off shot. So again, I just marry that up and just move the shot up. Now, if you do something like when I did the Blood DK, that was particularly terrible. When I did the Hulk smashing Loki in reference to Blood DK smashing Prop Paladins. That was a movement, a quite dramatic movement every single frame. So if we were to take this frame here where the dinosaur's head is there, literally the next frame over, this head could be anywhere and it would involve a lot of, if I just zoom this out, it would involve a lot of spinning of the name because Loki's head was now upside down and just moving it around and then going to the next frame. Oh, now Loki's head's this way, move it that way. That was all nightmarish stuff. But the bare bones of it is I just want to track this head of the dinosaur. That's all I really want to do. So I can delete these keyframes. We don't want to do anything like that. And hopefully, yeah, that's all back to normal. So you're just tracking it along. Just to give that slight effect that it is the head following, it is the nameplate like you would see in WoW following the head of the dinosaur. So you can see there. It's only a couple of seconds clip, but it matters. It really does matter. So the next scene is trying to put Genji on the back of the truck. Now, this is probably the worst part of this video that I did. It didn't marry up very nicely at all. I could have used some better lighting to sort of dull him down. He was far too bright, and also it was quite difficult to... I could have masked out. If I'd spent, say, more than 4 hours on this is the kind of thing that can take several hours, is to do what's called masking. You can see how many keyframes I did there just to track Genji in the back of the car. And resizing him every stage of the way, because as the car moves away, actually Genji gets smaller in order so it doesn't look ridiculous. So you can see that he's actually getting smaller and smaller as he moves away. It's not perfect by any means. It's just a very rough idea to give you an idea of him being back in the truck, and it's not Ian Malcolm. It's actually just Genji. I could have done a lot of things with lighting there and special effects just to turn the colour down. He's far too bright, and then of course masked out the back of the truck. That would almost quadruple my workload for this 3 or 4 second clip. It's always a call on whether or not that's necessary, as this is not something I'm intending to put out as a major movie. That's not something I'm going to do. The next clip is fine. It's just the guy's hand on the thing. Nothing to worry about there. And then you get this clip. Now, to generate these clips of Genji, we use a program called WoW Model Viewer, which is something I will look at later. But the idea here was I had to completely blank out Ian Malcolm from any of the shots, so it looked like it was Genji looking over the shoulder of Genji and nothing to do with any of the character from the film actually interfering with the shot whatsoever. So I didn't want to do that. So literally this is a very easy thing to do, is to take the clip of WoW Model Viewer, which is filmed directly over Genji's shoulder. So I zoomed in very far in WoW Model Viewer, got this shot, and managed to get it perfectly married up so I could just drop it in. I could drop it in. If you're wondering how you get rid of, this is the original clip, is this blue. There's a special effect on here called the chroma keyer, which removes the blue. So if I turn that off, you can see that it removes the blue. I've masked it a little bit just to make sure that I just get the edges of where I want Genji, and then chroma keyed that in so it disappears, and masked it out. So it's all perfectly white, very easy to do. Anybody who's had any experience with Sony Vegas will know what chroma keying is. It's just a green screen effectively, but it's green screen just is the effect. You could do any color at all. Like a PC could drop out any color whatsoever. You don't have to make it green. You can have it any color you want it to be to drop it out. That way we keep very spark particle effects if you should have any, and all that kind of stuff. So that's the bare bones of it. So you chop it together so it's very quick, and now you want it to flow. The way you make these things flow and not appear as very swift sort of breaks in footage is with the audio. So you find some music, if in this case, with Curse, I am licensed to use any of the music from World of Warcraft itself. I used a song called Totems of the Grizzlemaw, which gave a nice feeling of being in the Grizzly Hills where we shot this, in this nice open area. And because the song clip actually transitions across all of these cuts, it actually feels like one continuous shot. It's just an illusion. So you can see the audio is actually linking those two together. So there's no messing around going on there whatsoever. And then I got Genji just to do some very simple stuff on TeamSpeak, which was just to record his voice. If I mute that out, I just asked Genji to say various things.
What a beautiful, perfect day.
This line here is actually just volume adjustments. If I was to drop them down to normal, so a flat line is the normal volume. It's just to make sure that this is extremely quiet on normal.
What a beautiful, perfect day.
It's very, very quiet. So what I do there is I just manually increase the volume of that section only. I don't want to turn up the whole section because the rest of the audio is actually fine. Just that bit I want turned up. And then mix it with that audio so he's talking over the music.
What a...
If I unmute that.
What a beautiful, perfect day.
And you can see what I did there is the same thing. You can see this blue line with volume is I turned the volume down on the music while Genji is talking. So the music is still there. People are still aware of this smooth transition between the two clips. But the audio is now turned down. So while Genji is speaking, the audio is actually up. So the next thing we wanted to do is, we've got this clip, and I know that I'm simulating a dinosaur walking through the woods. But what I need to do here is actually let you guys know that it's a dinosaur walking through the woods. And the way we do this is we found some clips of stomping. If I drag this up. So that's all that sound effect is literally the sound of that stomp. That's all that is. So you can hear that quite clearly. Just the sound of the stomp of the dinosaur. So it gives the impression of something large, something big, and then what we did is just copy and paste those and overlap them slightly to give the impression of a stompy walk. Very, very easy. Just a very stompy walk of something approaching Genji. I didn't want this to run through everything because obviously once it's established that it's a big stompy walk, I could have done some much more audio work here, trying to marry up the actual footsteps of the dinosaur moving, but that would have taken me so fucking long that it wouldn't have been worth it. You obviously understand there's something stalking him in the woods just from this shot. And then we got some dinosaur screams, and just add those in there. So we got a couple of dinosaur screams. And then when we mix that with the stompy footsteps, it gives the impression that something large and probably dinosaur-like is coming through the woods. Makes it so much easier to get everybody to understand that. But again, it's all fitted within a 3-second clip. Well, this one's actually 6 seconds of it coming through there. It's all married up, but the audio is everything. The audio is very, very important. As you can see, I have another audio file here. As I move back into this one of the dinosaur chasing him, I have an audio file of Genji speaking again to say, oh shit, not again. And I also have this song continuing again to continue this transition from those two scenes. This scene is supposed to be no music as it's stalking far away. It's not the serenity that we're trying to achieve with Genji sat by his picnic. So the music drops out there and then comes back as he's at his picnic area. And the way we then increase the effect of the dinosaur there is again a different dinosaur sound effect, which I timed literally to as the dinosaur comes into Genji. So if we zoomed in a little bit more, as it comes in, you can see it's roaring at Genji as it gets to him. That was the timing there that's going on. And then, of course, marrying up the audio of Genji with when he starts doing his animation. Literally not a second earlier. When he starts doing his animation is when I want him to start talking. And then when the dinosaur comes into play, we want to do that. So that's the bare bones of everything that goes in there. And then a swift cut to the actual Preach Gaming intro. You know, the final thing I want to notice is the little touches, like here. We did some little touches here of very swift zooms in on Genji. So you can see just between those two keyframes, we're at the full shot of the full screen. And then as Genji starts talking, just to increase the shock value of, oh, there's a dinosaur here, we zoomed in very, very quickly on Genji. Kept it on that while he did his animation. You can see actually in the clip the dinosaur's coming in there. But the audio is going to start around about here on the screen. Therefore, as soon as I restore out, which is immediately after. So you can either do subtle transitions where I would slowly zoom out. But I wanted this to be swift. And then made it really big as Genji moves out of the shot and the roar comes in. Just to really sort of zoom out and the dinosaur starts roaring at the same time. So when it starts roaring, we're back to a full shot. And just before that, we're on a zoomed in shot of Genji doing his talking. You can see how it all lines up nicely with the audio. That's the kind of stuff that goes into one of the intros, as one of you guys would know. If there's any more details you guys really want on how to do this kind of stuff, it's pretty easy once you get used to Sony Vegas. There's no major special effects going on here. It's all just making sure you use quick clips just to get things established. Like I say, you don't want to go for more than 30 seconds with your intro. I managed to get this one to 32, which is one of the longest intros I've done so far. If I was to very quickly... who else had a reticulate intro? I think... this one. If I was to open the Holy Paladin video we did recently, I went for a very different type of intro here. Ignore. There we go. A very, very different style of intro here, which was much, much quicker. As you can see, there isn't a great deal going on here. Now, there's actually, what's missing from this and what it said was missing is, oh, it's there, never mind, I take it back. There it is, okay, so I buried it down here. So there's several layers gone into this intro. This is 17 layers. I should have condensed this down much more. I swap a lot of audio files around. It's again using WoW Model Viewer. I wanted the shot of the Judgment Paladin, which was one of the most famous paladins here, is coming towards the camera as he walks. And this is very much a case of a lot of special effects going into this one, rather than having lots of little small clips. It's all two continuous clips, but all with a lot of special effects. So here we chroma keyed out the black, the green that would be behind it. So you can see the block there that's gone away. And then we also did some black and white, and we animated this black and white. So at the start of it, I don't want any black and white at all. I want it to be full colour. But by the time it changes to the next scene, I want full black and white. So if we mute the audio, you'll actually, and if I mute the other clip, just get that out of there. If we watch this, you'll see another audio file in there somewhere. There we go. There's another audio file somewhere. Where are you? There it is. Okay, good. So what you actually see is this just slowly transitions into a black and white effect. You can see the colours draining out there, and then it goes into black and white while the colour contrast of the yellow comes in. Very easy to do. The most difficult part of this was actually this part, which was the background scene, to create all this going on in the background. Healing on a Holy Paladin looks pretty spectacular, so I wanted to enhance that in some way without just using the raw numbers, but ultimately I wanted it to end up as looking like a full UI. So we start from here, and that is the same clip that is there. And as you can see, within 5 seconds, we've changed from this to this, which is all pretty crystal clear. We can see the healing numbers coming off there. And we did that with many, many special effects. As you can see, there's a lot of special effects going into there. I even tried some stuff with lens flare, which I didn't particularly like. And the order of these does matter. So first things first is I added some noise. If I turn off these effects for now. So I added some noise, and you can see it's created some granularity across the shot, just to give it a little bit of a feel of roughness in the background that we're going to be contrasting it with. So I added some noise. Then I defocused everything, which means I blurred everything into others. And now with all the colours that go on in a raid and with all the healing and stuff, it's actually a tremendous thing to do, is to defocus stuff sometimes. It just creates a really wonderful sparkly effect, because World of Warcraft is always very bright and really nice. Again, there's animation going on here as I distorted it across, but you don't need to worry too much about that. I was just literally swapping around some various animations going on. So you can see these are the different timings that are going on here. With defocus, I had something that was bringing it back into focus towards the end. As you know, in the end of the clip, it comes back into focus. That was what I was doing there. And I also added in the black and white again, and the rays. The rays added a lovely effect going across it. If I just turn everything else off. This wonderful ray, it's very subtle, but it's shining lights off various important points on the screen that the PC has picked up. And I just had those rays moving along the screen very nicely. So I had them just switching around. You can see the rays start there. And then as we move across, they're just animated and sparkling and coming from all sorts of different areas and doing various different things like that. All this is quite a lot of work when it's put together. Let's turn all these back on. And then we turn off the lens flare. I tried adding lens flare, but it just looks garbage. It looks like a J.J. Abrams movie. I didn't particularly enjoy that aspect of it whatsoever. So you start here with heavy rays, a lot of defocus, a lot of stuff like that. But I then contrasted that with the clarity of what would be the Paladin walking through the rays. So you get this sort of image of the Holy Paladin walking from behind the light, which is what Holy Paladins tend to do. And as that drained out, and the background drained out as well, it then moves into the actual Holy Paladin itself. Looking pretty badass in black and white, I've got to say. I think Paladins look badass. And then ultimately, of course, tying it all together with some swipe fast with a bit of magical audio. I'll just turn it down for you, but it sounds like something nice and fast and energetic is going on. And also kind of an epic feel to it, as most World of Warcraft does. It doesn't suffer from a lack of epic feeling. Mixing that all together, all very cool, and then ultimately just breaking into the standard gameplay videos, which, as you can see, they don't take much work to put together. It's more about the commentary on that, my commentary files down here, and then adding that all together. So the way I like to be a bit creative with my videos is just the intros, just to spark some life into them and make people think, ooh, I kind of want to watch this. That's what I'm after is with the intros, is this looks pretty cool. You can tell there's a bit of work gone into this, but rather than some guy whacking on a training dummy, all that kind of aspect is not what I want in my videos. Is people just like, oh, okay, so it's just a list of information. Just that little intro. You can see that total intro lasted all of 15 seconds. Again, I don't want to run any longer unless I have a really solid idea. I don't really want to do anything really, really crazy with stuff. I don't want to do that at all. The final one I'll show you very briefly is, ignore these are just files I've deleted off afterwards. Was a particular nightmare, was getting the Doom 2 intro for the Ret Paladin. This wasn't easy whatsoever. So I believe some of the Ret Paladin footage is actually missing. Yeah, this media offline means the Ret Paladin footage has been deleted. But there was 4 or 5 different masks going on here to try and simulate the weapon. The weapon was actually a total nightmare to mask out. I had 2 options to either mask every single frame to track the motion of the weapon. I believe I still have the raw Doom 2 footage. Yes, I do. I'm going to mute this now. As you can see, as this weapon, the chainsaw has always been a legendary thing in Doom 2. People loved the chainsaw, but you can see it moves around a hell of a lot. Every single frame has the chainsaw in some different position. There's also see-through aspects of the chainsaw. You can see through the middle of it. So masking that out would be 2 masks every single frame, and it probably wouldn't look very clear either. It would kind of be clunky and sharp-edged, and it wouldn't look nice. So I decided to screenshot it and then remask it out. So there is footage in the background. You can see that's masked out in the middle. That's a simple masking thing here. You can see there's 2 masks going on here to drag around the chainsaw and drag around the middle area. So everything through there is see-through. So if I just drag something in here. See, I should never play around on live cam. I always bugger it up. The other aspect, of course, was getting the God mode, which was part of it, was to get the God mode. It's just another picture of the actual God mode image replaced and dubbed over the top of the image that was taken from the video, and then marrying that up again. So there's also stuff going on in the background that you couldn't really see. It took me 4 or 5 layers just to end up with this clip that looks pretty average. I mean, that map, this is the most annoying part actually, is that was masking the bottom, and then I believe this is the mask at the top. It's very sharp. You can see the sharp edges there. The gun is actually much smoother. You can see there's various parts missing, and it's pretty crappy, but for the sake of a 1.2 second moment, it's not the end of the world by any means. And the final thing I want to show you is just this animation of text. People always ask me, how do you animate text? It's really, really quite simple. You go into your normal text folder where you type, and there's an animate button which gives you the keyframes again. Everything works here in keyframes. And all I do is I click along a keyframe and add another letter. The next keyframe, I'll add another letter. The next keyframe, another one. The next keyframe, another one. Of course, IDDQD is the code for God mode in Doom 2. It's quite famous. A lot of people didn't really crack onto that, which was a pity, because IDDQD is actually a very famous thing. And then I just did the thing that IDDQD, in case people didn't get it, was to blow all cooldowns. And then I added in just a little troll face image there. Because I felt it was trolly at the time of Ret Paladins to blow all cooldowns. But you can see there's various levels of things you can do. It's all about time. This is one of the things I've been talking about on the dailies recently, is being creative and just doing something fun. I couldn't spend more than an hour doing my intros, realistically. Otherwise, I would seriously fall behind in video content doing all the guides. I could show you a bit of Way of the Warrior 2 right now, but I'm not going to do that. But let's just say the Way of the Warrior 2 is somewhere around 4 times larger than this in terms of layers. This one went to 20 layers. And has sort of effects every few seconds, really, to really make it look a bit cleaner, a bit more polished. Every scene's a bit more thought about and considered than this, to try and get some more reasonable effects. And that's something I do want to spend time on. That might take me months to create. Hopefully I will get it out on January 1st, but I won't show you that at the moment. And that's it, guys. Okay, so any other questions, leave me a comment. I'll see what I can do. If I get time to do another one of these for you, I gladly will. Alright, ballers, take it easy. Bye.